Hey, this is Pizza Dude Man. Last time I shared my top 5 S supports for the male avatar of Fire Emblem Fates, so of course, this time I wanted to do my top 5 S supports for the female avatar. Now, I'm applying the same restrictions to the female avatar as I did to the male avatar. For starters, I will not be including any of the supports between Corrin and her brothers. These supports are deep, explorative of the characters, and even result in some great S supports, but I just can't get into Corrin suddenly becoming romantically involved with people she already regards as siblings. Also, I will not be including any relationships between Corrin and any of the child characters. With that in mind, here are my top 5 S supports for the female avatar. Number 5. Hinata. Sometimes when I compare the supports of the female avatar to the male avatar, it's difficult for me to get a sense of romantic context since most of the conversations are largely the same, but for some reason it works out for me with Hinata. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that Hinata is such a sucker for women in the first place. I think he legitimately does a nice job in general, conveying legitimate care for the women he's interested in a way that's not sleazy like Laszlo. As far as supports go, Hinata and Corrin is just a nice little story about the two getting to know and understand each other through competition and conversation. What's nice here is that, unlike many of the Avatar supports that only explore the feelings and motivations of whomever Corrin is speaking with, there's a bit about Hinata learning of Corrin's life in the castle, even if it's just a small bit. Ultimately, it leads to a pretty cute, somewhat indirect S support. Number 4. Beni. Beni has a reputation as a fierce, intimidating warrior, but in actuality, he's just a large, lonely, gentle guy who has a hard time socializing. Now, many of Beni's supports cover his true nature and his partner coming to love and accept him for who he is, but the notable thing I find with Corrin is Beni's claim that she's the first person to take an interest in getting to know his true self. As a result of this outreach, Beni and Corrin develop a pretty cute relationship as she comes to understand him, and one of the things I really like about their S support is how Corrin demands Beni to properly propose to her rather than just taking the hint. It adds a bit of personality to the otherwise agreeable avatar. All in all, it's a nice little support. Number 3. Jacob. Now we're starting to get into the characters that Corrin has a bit more substance with. When playing as the female avatar, Jacob pretty much takes the place of Felicia. He's the man who is always by your side, relentlessly loyal, aids you throughout the game, and joins you without hesitation, no matter what decisions you make. To me, Corrin and Jacob never quite hit the same emotional high as Corrin and Felicia. Their supports show how their relationship works and how they've come to fall in love, but doesn't really have as many cute moments. To me, anyway. Number 2. Causa. The relationship between Corrin and Causa is like a small arc all on its own, delving into the feelings, actions, and motivations of Causa, which are directly tied to Corrin. Their support conversations ultimately end with Causa becoming one of the Avatar's retainers. This story is especially prevalent in the birthright path of Fates, but is present in every route, given that Causa joins you regardless of your choices. Like Rinka, Causa is a character that is very present in Fates' prologue, and he plays a large role in Corrin's time spent in Hoshido, but Causa continues to have a main role in later parts of the story. This gives Causa and Corrin a lot more time and opportunity to build their relationship, which makes a great progression from meeting each other, to learning about each other, to helping each other grow, to, in their S support, falling in love. Number 1. Silas. To me, the relationship between Corrin and Silas is by far the most interesting and in-depth relationship between Corrin and a male unit. The story is that, as kids, Silas and Corrin were playmates, and Silas knew that Corrin's greatest wish was to see the outside world. So one day, he snuck Corrin out, only to be captured. He was never allowed to see Corrin, his dearest friend, ever again, but he worked hard to grow up into a great soldier so that one day he could finally meet with Corrin again as a knight protecting them. Unfortunately, this plan only works as perfectly as Silas hopes in the conquest route, since the other paths pit Corrin against the Norian army. Regardless of this, Silas ultimately joins Corrin no matter what path they pick in order to fulfill his oath. What I really admire about Silas and his relationship with Corrin is his dedication. Yes, Jacob was always there for Corrin, but Silas dedicated his life to reuniting with Corrin, even knowing there was no guarantee they would ever meet again. I haven't seen such a single-minded devotion to one person in a video game since Phoenix Wright and Miles Edgeworth. As it turns out, Corrin has, on the other hand, completely forgotten about Silas, and the bulk of their supports addresses this issue and delves into the histories of both Corrin and Silas. This is one of the things I like most about Corrin and Silas' supports. It's about both of them and their relationship. So many of the Avatar supports are focused on learning about the person they're talking to and their motivations, but here, it's equally about Silas and Corrin, and their feelings for each other. Ultimately, I think it leads to a wonderful S-support where the two finally realize that they are in love, and that was the real basis for Silas' single-minded devotion. Just like Phoenix Wright and Miles Edgeworth! And that's it for my top 5 S-supports in Fire Emblem Fates for the female avatar. Let me know what you think in the comments below, which pairings are your favorite, and which Fates character you'd like to see next time. Thank you so much for watching.